Here we go.
Here we go now.
You're sitting up very straight. The top of your head's cut off.
Am I?
You should slunch.
I'll get there.
Slunch?
I'll get there.
That's a new word. You'll get to the slunchy spot?
That's so gross.
I'm tired. It's Monday, and I spent all weekend at the International Voice Teachers of Mix conference. And where was that? It was right here.
On Zoom.
Yeah, not that anybody came to our house, but I sat here Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And you hosted part of it. I mean, you were emceeing.
I was the main MC. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I have been in previous years, which sounds like a bigger deal than it is. All I do is introduce, give a 5-minute warning if necessary, and then thank people.
It's your third year?
Yeah. And these conferences are always such a shot in the arm for my teaching because I've got my way that I do things. You know, I've got a pretty big toolbox, but I tend to pick up a lot of the same tools a lot of times.
Right.
And the IFTOM conference always gives me something new. And this year, mm-hmm. It was much less new techniques, like technical techniques.
Right.
And much more about new approaches. It was much more, I guess you would say, holistic, which is not my strength as a teacher.
Right.
My favorite presenter was this guy who is an opera coach and extremely well-trained in vocal science and all this kind of stuff. And he introduced his presentation by saying, now, I want you to know, I used to be very resistant to all these woo-woo things, all these like psychological, therapeutic things. Yeah. But the science has proven they exist, so I have reluctantly adopted them. If you care not to, I understand. I was just like you.
Wow.
And I was like, man, you're speaking my language. Like, I hate to be all like, Alexander technique, Feldenkrais method, like, you know, just feel the energy of love. But it's for real because these voices are embedded in these bodies, mm-hmm. and these bodies are governed by emotions and hormones and thoughts and feelings and energies.
Yeah, it is. It's all coming out of you as a person. So Yeah.
And I think that is why it is very different teaching voice than teaching any other instrument, and why it's harder. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm being superior here. There's harder. I guess there are harder things in instruments because there's a lot more music theory. You don't even have to read music to sing well.
Right.
But when it comes to being a vocal coach, there is not one curriculum for everyone,
right.
Because it mixes therapy and music and all kinds of things. So anyway, that's what I did all weekend. And that meant that I couldn't dive into preparing for the Diamond Empire gig this weekend until today.
Which you said was going great.
Yeah, I spent most of the day, maybe 2/3 of the day, playing the songs.
Yeah.
From the Diamond Empire gig. So there are 47 songs on the list. There's like 42 in the set and then like 5 extras.
Mm-hmm.
So 47. And turns out that I had already charted, I told Nate 40, but it turned out to be 38. I'd already charted 38 of them.
Wow.
The other 2 I'd sang before a whole bunch, so right. I already know them.
Yeah.
So I had a real head start. So today I started going through and I would just like pull up the chart, pull up the track, see if I could come in at the top at the right time without reminding myself how the song, like not playing the song at all first, just kind of like for real, making sure that I was using the pedals that I want to use. I was experimenting with, you want to grab that red plastic pedal? this Zoom B1X pedal that I've had forever. I got this because I saw Bijou Barbosa play with the woman who used to sing with Rocket Surgeons. Can't remember her name right now, but she's phenomenal. I think she moved to LA.
Yeah.
But I saw him play her show, and she did a cover of Sail by AWOL Nation.
Mm.
And there's like that fat synth bass. And I asked him, what did you do to get that sound? And he said, I bought, well, he used, I don't know if he bought it for that, but he used the Zoom B1X. And it's this cheap pedal. It's like plastic. It's this red plastic casing, but it does have a pretty cool fat synth bass sound.
Yeah. Zoom is a weird company. They really nail it with some stuff. Sail, by the way, is the theme song to the TV show Vikings.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't see Vikings. We saw
Norsemen.
Norsemen,
which is a comedy about, it's a spoof comedy about Vikings.
Right.
But yeah, that's the theme song for. That's so that's crazy that Bijou was using that one.
So anyway, I'm working out all the pedals and.
And you're feeling good about because I know you've been dialing in tones and.
I'm working on tones. I mean, I've got that synth bass pedal you gave me, so I'm figuring out which sounds I want to use out of that, when I just want to use a fuzz, because that's just super easy, and when I want to use this, if I can. The problem is this Zoom B1X bass pedal, on bypass mode, it drops the gain so far.
Yeah.
So far. So I need to work around that if I'm going to use it. Meaning, we talked at dinner about, like, maybe I can set up a patch that's just a gain increase. So I'm not on bypass with it.
It's pretty common that you have to do that with various pedals.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a mix of, like, digital pedals. Like, that thing is a digital pedal.
Yeah.
They'll get you, and then oddly, a lot of vintage pedals, like legit vintage pedals, like 70s things. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's design or what, but they'll often not really have the gain. I have a 70s MXR distortion that I love, and it sounds super cool, but I can't really use it because even turned all the way up or dimed, if you're in the guitar world.
Turn it to 10.
Turn it to 10, it's dimed. It still won't come back to unity volume. Like, it drops volume when you turn it on, even when you have the volume all the way up.
Yeah.
And I think maybe in the 70s it didn't matter because I think people were doing a lot more just leaving a pedal on the whole time. They weren't switching stuff on and off. So you would then adjust the rest of your rig and, whatever. Or maybe it's broken. I don't know. But, it's pedals are just, it's a long and bumpy road.
And I'm adding a couple to the rig here. I haven't had very many on my pedal board for a while, but there's quite a variety of songs that I'll be playing at this wedding. I'm so excited.
That's great.
I'm so excited for this gig.
Great.
Because it's just like, I mean, it's the next level of challenge for me. I was trying to count the number of bands I've played bass in, and it's more than 5.
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
It's not nothing.
Yeah.
But I've never before played a gig on bass where I didn't rehearse, and let alone an entire 3-set wedding.
Yeah. And who knows, weddings always will, they'll surprise you sometimes.
I know.
You get the... Yeah. Well, gosh, so what else did we do this week?
We played with Cody.
We did play with Cody. On Saturday, you took a break from your extensive prep.
Right. No, break from emceeing the conference.
Break from IFTOM. Sorry, that's what I meant. No edits. And anyway, it was, we were playing the Lafayette Music Festival, which we definitely have to thank Liz and Kenny Vasco, who now run Doghouse Music, a recording studio rental place in Lafayette, and they are, I guess, the main people behind the Lafayette Music Festival.
Are they?
Some sort, maybe the impetus, maybe they're putting it all on. Who knows?
That's really cool.
It is. They are the people to thank for it at the very least.
Yeah, and they are doing a lot up there.
They're doing a ton for that local Lafayette.
Since they took over Doghouse, that place is night and day compared to
night and day different. We used to be up there a lot because you had a performance high room up there.
Yeah.
And I would use it sometimes for production and stuff. And boy, that place, I have been around a lot in the music business. Rarely have I seen so many beer cans in one place. Like, those lobbies would get stacked up with 1,000 beer. Who knows? Like,
and the bathrooms, I don't think they ever got cleaned.
I mean,
it was so bad for our students, especially our young students.
And it's very nice now. Yeah. It's very nice now.
Yeah. It's really cool
But
now.
people used to just take the trash out from their studios and just like put it in the lobby where the trash was supposed to go out.
Oh, right.
And it would just like stack
huge,
to the ceiling.
Yeah.
Just beer cans and pizza boxes. And then in the summertime, so many bees and hornets because
yeah.
Anyway,
It's better now.
Liz and Kenny have done an amazing job at that place. It's so nice now. Highly recommend it. The couple times I've been up there. I'm up there with Jonathan October 20th. We are doing a show. They have a small, tiny little, I guess you could call it a venue. It's a showcase room. It's a small little, it's a room you can play.
Yeah.
And invite some friends.
Is the stage lifted? It's a little lifted, right?
I've seen it both ways, actually.
Oh, okay.
I've seen they had a little 6-inch riser.
Yeah.
I could be misremembering, but a little 6-inch riser, and then another time it was just on the floor. Not much of a difference. So anyway, we were at the Lafayette Music Festival.
Yeah.
At least started by the people we were just mentioning, and I gotta say, no reflection on anybody, but one of the least fun shows for me in a long time. Like, that one was...
What made it that way for you?
Rough. A lot of it was the technical issues.
Right. We only had monitors across the front.
Not even across the front, because I didn't have one.
Oh, gosh.
At all.
So there was a stage left and a stage center monitor.
Yeah.
And then one at the drums. And that's it. And it was a deep stage, so I was nowhere near a monitor.
They had to pull the monitor that would have been my stage right monitor, me and Mateo, and they had to pull that and give that to Greg at drums, because they couldn't figure out how to just put that line into his board. And it was very rushed, and so we were super rushed. And the guy who was running monitors, I guess, and doing the stagehanding was like, we finished sound check, and it was, I mean, barely sound check. They were just like, yep, got it,
Yeah,
you got the signal, the signal, play guitar, yep, got it.
It was what you call it, line check, not
It was
sound
more
check.
of a line check, which is fine. That's very festival style. But then the guy who was running the stage manager or whatever was like, yeah, don't worry, you guys get ready. I'm going to watch you guys. I'll give him the signal to go on. And then somebody started announcing us. And,
oh, yeah. And we weren't on stage yet.
And Greg had gone to the bathroom because the guy had said,
we will give you a minute.
We'll give you like 5...
He said it's going to be 2 minutes.
Yeah, and he said, and I'll watch you, and I'll make sure to cue that you guys are ready. And then I guess that didn't get through to whoever was announcing. So we went on stage,
And
we
had
weren't,
no drummer.
we weren't all ready.
Yeah.
Which is not a great way to start it. And then the sound was, I absolutely could not hear anything.
I could hear lots of keys, and I could hear none of me. None of me. And
Yeah.
I was standing in front of my amp. So I'm really excited that I had this experience.
gonna
Not
happen.
excited. I'm happy that I had this experience because I could hear myself fine when I was alone. Like if the band would drop out for a second and it was just bass. But I couldn't hear myself when everybody was playing. I think because Brian's keys were overpowering me or something. And so I could really only tell if I was off if I could like feel a sourness. But fortunately, I know those songs really well. I did make a half-step mistake on one of them because I couldn't remember if the song modulates up a whole step or a half step. But anyway, the reason I'm super happy that I had this experience and made this mistake was it caused me to test out my in-ears for bass today.
Right, because you've talked about before, especially when the stage sound is not ideal, you aren't able to tell if you're playing the right note or not.
Yeah, and it's not a volume thing, it's a clarity thing. It's the top frequencies. If I get a monitor in front of me that's not a bass amp, just a little monitor that's spitting back the highs to me.
Yeah.
And I had turned up the highs.
Yeah,
I was super crunchy
Yeah.
at this gig in an effort to hear myself, and it didn't help somehow. I don't know.
I think
but
there's just general mud. I mean, sometimes stuff is just fighting each other. It's like there's just, there's just too much. I mean, I was in the same boat where sometimes I was like hearing like somebody's on the wrong chord, and then I would look down and it was like, oh, it's me.
Oh my gosh.
Because I couldn't hear well enough to tell, you know what I mean?
I think what might have happened in the song that modulates is we modulated and maybe you were on the wrong chord for the first moment.
That was not where I was having that issue. That was a different
I wanted
song.
to blame you for that mistake.
Sorry.
Damn it.
No, it was a different song.
It was all me. But anyway, so I compared my West Tones, which are like nice in-ears, with my super cheap mono price $12 earbuds that I always use for singing.
Right.
And the West Tones sounded great.
You said they actually let more ambient sound in.
Yeah, they're not custom shaped, so they don't fit my ear canal exactly,
And you
which
could
is
hear
great.
yeah.
Because I could hear the bass really well, and I could still hear the room. So that is going to work so well for gigs. You never know what you're going to get, especially at something like Diamond Empire, where it's new people and who knows who's running sound, different venue every time,
or festival things or whatever.
So
And that is why Hazel because Hazel played right in front of us, and they were running their own in-ears, so they could hear themselves just fine. And I mean, there were just times where you just knew. I knew I was off, or I knew the band was off. And again, I don't know if it was enough that the audience was really feeling it, but from my perspective, I could really tell, like, we are not together, but I can't hear well enough to tell which direction we are not together.
oh my god,
I just know that it's not right.
Like, wasn't locking.
It
sometimes.
was echoey, like it was a very high. It was kind of more of a theaterish stage, like they would literally have plays. So it's very high, and even when, that's why I always insist on having hi-hat right in my head, is because there's times and I'm by myself and Greg is trying, again, Cody is on a lot of tracks, so there's no room for error. You are playing, you need to be right there. And Greg's hi-hat is just like...
It's like echoing around the room and you can't tell. Like, and I'm just you were getting off. You were like... It was like you were in between his beats, and it was like, oh my god!
And I knew it too, and there was nothing I could do about it because I couldn't tell which direction. Am I in front? Am I behind? Like which?
You're always behind.
Well, I mean that's actually false. I'm often rushing too. Oh. So, so I have both problems. I'm not trying to, and there were a couple times where we were coming out of like jammier sections and we're on tracks, but it's a section where we've kind of like extended the song.
Yeah.
And Greg was supposed to like come back into the beat, and he wasn't because he was like trying to figure out like, are we still on the track? 'Cause I can't hear it.
Gosh.
And
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there were like 2 times where it was like, and I was having to like throw some signals and like,
oh my gosh,
like I can hear it, like go, like we're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was rough. And Greg uses the drum pad a lot because Cody's music has a lot of electronic drum sounds in it, so he's not just playing the acoustic drums, he's got the electronic drums, which are only coming out of the front of the house if you don't have it in the monitors, and it wasn't in any of the monitors. And so it's ricocheting. Anyway, it was, this is gross, but I smelled so bad by the end of the show because it was hot and I was sweaty, but it was mainly anxiety sweat. Like, like a good, honest, like you're performing hard and like it's just
like a good workout sweat.
Doesn't smell that bad, but like anxiety sweat for an hour. Oh my God. It was, because I was just flipping out and I don't, at some point I just relaxed because it was like, I can't save anything if it gets off anyway, because I don't know what's going on. So just like, the heck with it, we'll do what we can do. Overall, I'm sure for the audience, it was a great show. It was just on the stage. It was one of those ones where you're just like, oh my God, like you're just freaking out the entire time. And, that's how some of them go.
I think you were freaking out more than I was. I mean,
I feel a little bit more. I'm not band leading Cody's band, but I'm very often where the buck stops on. I'm not leading it, but if it comes down to no one knows what's going on, I traditionally am making that call of like, here's where we're going. And I couldn't tell, and that's part of why I was freaking out. I was like, because if anything does get off, I can't. I can't make the call. Yeah. I mean, the couple times I did make signals, and I was just like, go, like like it's I didn't know that was right. I was just counting in my head, and I thought that was right. So, but somebody had to be like, no, go. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
a real testament
fun.
to Greg, our drummer, Greg Tan. He really pulled through on a lot of that because, of course, he couldn't hear stuff very well because he gets all his stuff from in-ears, and they had a speaker on the floor, which he couldn't hear very well because of his in-ears.
Right.
Anyway, it was one of those shows. And then we went out with Brenna
Yeah.
one of Cody's backup singers, and we had excellent tacos at
Verde
in
Lafayette.
Lafayette. Yeah, downtown Lafayette.
Lafayette or Louisville?
One of the two. It was Louisville.
Louisville.
Yeah. There's a lot of little towns up there. And yeah.
Highly recommend.
Highly recommend that. Yeah, it was all in all a great thing though, and of course always very nice to see Hazel and Cody Carbone and their great band, and it was just it was a blast from that perspective. You know what's funny though, this has been happening to me so much this whole week, maybe longer. People keep thinking I work places, and it's been happening all over the place. Like I was walking through, I went to the King Soopers grocery store the other day, and I was walking because I was in a hurry I forget why, but I was in a hurry, and some lady stopped me and was like, excuse me, do you know where the whatever is? And I'm like, why would I know that? And she was like, oh, do you not work here? And I was like, no, I don't. And I was like, I dress like this all the time. And she was like, oh, you were just walking very authoritatively.
That's it.
And she was like, oh, I thought you totally worked here. Like, you looked like you were, like, working. And I was like, and then we were at Cody's show, and I was standing right inside the theater watching Hazel, and two people came up to me and were like, hey, we're allowed to bring drinks in here, right? And I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, oh, you don't work here? And I'm like, no. And they were like, oh, you look like you work here.
Huh.
So I guess I'm putting off some decision-making vibes. I don't know what's really going on lately, but it's been pretty funny because I'm like, I clearly don't work anywhere. Like, what? I'm not in charge of nothing.
Like, look at this face. Do I work anywhere?
What am I in charge of? No, work-wise, there's been a ton going on for me, and it's been great. Maybe I've been feeling that. Again, we've been talking about Eric Golden's album is, we're going into the studio October 29th, so that is coming up quick. We are pre-producing like crazy, trying to make sure we know what we're doing there. And then finishing up Janet MC's thing.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me.
That thing is a jam. That's exactly how it goes. Yeah.
It's been an hour and a half since I heard it.
Yeah, super pop. Yeah, it's one of those great examples of working on super country and baritone guitars and all this stuff, and then I flip over and I'm mixing like a TikTok pop.
Yeah.
As modern as pop gets thing, and you're just using a different part of your brain to like, how should this all sound?
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. But gosh, have we been doing anything else?
Not that I can think of.
So by the way, we want to thank Andrea and Steven for coming, and tonight I am sipping on at least the Cellar West was the name of the brewery.
Yes.
Farmhouse Saison.
How's that Saison?
It's pretty rockin'. It is very fruity, tons of flavor. Yeasty.
Oh, okay. Do you think I would like it? Mm-hmm. I don't usually like Saisons.
No, Saisons are usually rough. This one is not sour though.
That is much better than I expected.
That's
actually good.
Like a really fruity thing to it.
Yeah.
Saison, of course, it's like a rustic, like it would have been farmhouse beer that you made at home in like the Netherlands and parts of France and stuff in the 1700s. So yeah, very yeasty, very rustic style, very cloudy. Like it is completely unfiltered. So the bottom of that is just like not clear at all. Anyway, thanks to Cellar West again for turning us on to some cool stuff, and Andrea and Steven for coming on. We've got some more guests coming up.
Yes, we just booked Ryan Elwood.
Yeah.
For a couple weeks
out. It's going to be so much fun.
Not the next one, but the one after that, I think.
Okay. That'll be killer. And we got to get Eric on.
Oh, we really do.
Yeah. So, no edits. We're going to wrap this one up.
Wait, we have what's coming up.
Oh, we have what's coming up.
And do we need to do any takeaways or any, like, I don't know, recommendations?
I am a hack and a fraud.
I know, you just skipped to the end.
I am just the worst.
What's coming up? So this weekend, obviously, I have, not obviously to, I don't know, to one or two of you, I have my first wedding gig with Diamond Empire Band as a bassist.
Right.
On Saturday.
Well, they know. It's been in the news and...
Yeah, the whole world knows.
Yeah. Social media, you can't avoid it.
It's been the biggest thing on my horizon for like 3 months.
People are sharing articles.
Yeah. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this because I am ready. I have prepared and I am still preparing, but I can totally do this.
That is the best feeling.
I'm so excited. It's just like, wow, like I'm about to do something that I didn't think I could do. And that's just amazing.
That is a really great
And it's not going to go perfectly, and
Yeah.
that's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But it's going to go well. So let's see. I've got that. And then on Sunday, we are going to have our youth and acoustic showcase at Enigma Bazaar.
Can't believe I forgot because I'm looking forward to checking that out.
Yeah. Enigma Bazaar is on, I think it used to be Tennis and Tap, but it's on 38th?
Yeah, I'm not sure what it used to be, but yeah, it's been a venue for a while. Or a bar, whatever.
Anyway, it looks really cool. They're going to have us for just a little afternoon thing where I'll probably be running sound as usual.
And I'll be backup running sound.
Yeah. Oh, this is only relevant to those who take lessons in Denver, but it looks like we are going to get Studio 2. So in our Denver studio, currently we have studios 1, 5, 6, 11, and 24, which is honestly a little more than we need, but it takes so long to get a room that when 2 came up, I grabbed them earlier this year.
Yeah, and it only takes a couple little conflicts to make it a real problem.
Yeah.
So it, winds up being... But 11 and 24 are in a different building than the other studios.
They're in the Walnut Room building, and all the others are in the opposite building. And Studio 24 has been one I've been in for a long time, but Raylyn and Tyler especially complain to the ends of the earth about cigarette and pot smoke on Mondays. I think people smoke in there...
Over the weekend.
Not in that room, but like in other rooms on that side.
And all the HVAC is connected.
Yeah.
So
we're going to give up that room as comfortable as it has been, and we're going to move into Studio 2, which is exciting because it is bigger. It's probably like Studio 1.
I think that it is. I was looking at the doors and the just from the outside.
Just the way they're laid out.
Because Studio 2 is still, we can't get in there. But
I'm going to see it tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is exciting, and because they adjoin, it's going to be easier to manage noise.
Yep.
And sound.
And Stax is donating a drum kit, so we're going to have a second room with an acoustic drums kit, finally.
I know.
So.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty fun. Moving on up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... Well, so we covered that. What about takeaways? Did you have anything from this week?
My takeaway is I can use in-ears for bass, and that is going to...
It's gonna be a game changer for a lot of...
Yeah, it's not like it's been like a huge ongoing problem, but it has been a problem at like half the gigs that either I'm swimming in a sea of low-end reverb that's caught in the corner of the room, or I can't hear enough of the clarity of the notes to really be sure what I'm playing. And then this last one, I couldn't hear myself at all.
Yeah.
I was playing by memory, and that's all. And so I am so glad I had that experience before I go into playing weddings.
Right.
So I have a backup plan. So that's my takeaway is like you can use in-ears for bass.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if I don't need to figure something out. For a while I was carrying that if I needed to do wired in-ears, I could come out of a different output of my pedal through just a headphone extension and throw something in my ears. It never wound up becoming a problem, so I stopped carrying that junk with me.
Yeah.
But boy, this was one of those, and it was weird too because I was the same way on guitar. Like I kept just turning it up, and it was not helping me hear it. And at the same time,
I could hear you on the other side of the stage, and you couldn't hear yourself.
And at the same time, I felt like I was way too loud in the room, like that I was over in front of the band. So I would like rip into a solo, and it was just like, I'm so sorry, guys. No, I'm blasting you. Not that I can tell what any of the notes are, but I am just like
so weird
wailing
to be able to be like blasted by sound, but not be able to identify the frequency of that sound.
Yeah, it was just bouncing around so much that you just couldn't, Yeah. Yeah, it's but we had fun, and we can't, talk about takeaways.
Oh, yeah.
We went to see Stop Making Sense.
Yes.
Which is the Talking Heads concert film from 82 or 86 or whatever it is in the 80s. And it's in movie theaters now. It is remastered. And I think they redid some of the video. There were definitely shots in that I didn't remember. So I have seen Stop Making Sense dozens of times. I don't know, 40, 50 times.
I can't believe it.
well, it's so good. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, I just had the greatest experience seeing it in the theater. It was not too loud, but it was also it was real speakers and stuff, and they did such a tasteful job on the surround sound, where like mostly they did not use the surround sound thing of like the sounds coming from the sides and behind you. Just every once in a while there'd be a keyboard line and it would like rip around the room, but mostly it was, you know, because sometimes they get really hacky with that, like, you know, the tambourines over here, and
Right.
you know, and you're just like, it just
Right.
it doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
And they just did a very tasteful job. I was moved at points almost to tears. Like, it is, I just love rock and roll and performance, and a good performance so much, and that show is like,
So great.
it's so great. Even if you're not a Talking Heads fan, I highly recommend it. It is such a great combination of tons of planning. Obviously,
Oh
lots
my
of it is
gosh.
I mean, the planning that it would take, and even some of the stage moves they're doing, like, this just didn't happen. But at the same time, they have the energy of, like, this is happening for the first time ever. And they just did so organic and so off the cuff feeling while being prepared and professional.
Yeah.
And it was just unbelievable. And Tina Weymouth, my hero,
She's so cool.
unbelievable. Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
And you forget how good of a guitar player David Byrne is. You don't even really think of him as a guitar player, but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he's actually a really great guitar player.
Yeah.
He does some like really cool stuff. Great acoustic player and great lead. Anyway, I highly recommend go and see Stop Making Sense. If you don't feel like seeing it in the theater, it is on YouTube, and it's also good if you just watch it on YouTube. But I had a lot of takeaways from that, one of which was simply, I was a little proud of us because no matter what is going on, not that we were matching that Talking Heads level, but no matter what's going on, we are going to put on a show. And watching them put on such a great show was reminding me of the not ideal time we had with Cody, and we still all worked really hard and still
yeah.
tried to put on a show, and we
Yeah,
still did some
yeah.
of our moves, even though it was weird. I mean, we just have minor things with Cody, like where you and I,
Yeah.
you know, and little things, but we still did them even though, and it just made me think like, yeah, that's what that's all about, is like, you gotta, you know,
Yeah.
do the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So glad we feel the same way about that.
Oh my gosh. What did I say right when we got done? I was like, that's why you just don't stand there and just play songs. That's why you try to put on a show. And the situations always vary, and sometimes they're like, the putting on a show is it's a very small, polite thing, and other times you need to be very big. But whatever it is, you always try to not just...
Man, I want to do big shows again.
Yeah, I really do too. Well, we'll get Julian back, and we'll at least get to do that level of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Sort of soon. And we do have Cody coming up at Nisi's on maybe the 23rd, I think. So that'll be fun.
Cool.
22nd,
Yeah,
23rd,
yeah.
something like
I
that.
have some good shows coming up.
Yeah, so we got, you know, we're getting back in the roll of it. May I shut it down?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. So we want to thank you guys, as always, for watching. And as always, we are sponsored by Performance High.
Voice and Music Studio.
I did it right that time.
Yeah.
And also check out Verde in Louisville. An amazing, not super cheap, but an amazing amount of food for the money. I think we ate like 3 meals for like, I would have gotten 1 taco if I would have had
Wait, I think it was actually pretty cheap.
relatively.
I mean,
anyway.
You could get 3 tacos for $15.
And then
And they
were
were
like,
huge. Yeah.
yeah, massive.
It was at least 2 meals
At least.
for those 3 tacos.
Yeah. So Verde, Louisville, they also don't know they're a sponsor. But we want to thank them and Cellar West and everybody involved. Also, thanks to Mexican food, because it's all I want to eat. And we will see you guys next week.